So you would need a factual,
Period.
Predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case.
And sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans have lost faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Before you take sides, watch this carefully. Adam Schiff asks Pam Bondi questions that sound simple, but the answers could shape the Justice Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president can commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case.
And sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans have lost faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is
Are you aware of a...
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked at it.
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one has asked me to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a hypothetical.
The president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president has
We're also worried about Liz Cheney, Senator.
The president has called for this.
You know what we should be worried about?
Ms. Bondi, please answer my questions.
The crime rate in California right now is through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
your robberies are 87% higher than the national average.
My question is this.
That's what I want to be focused on, Senator.
Do you have the power to say no to the president? And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truth to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't do it.
I'm just asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any ongoing
to power.
investigation,
So let me ask you another.
like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election? Yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question. If you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in Pennsylvania.
I know you want to answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election? Yes or no? Was there or was there not?
I can tell you what I saw when I went as an advocate to the campaign.
That's not my question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case. Let me finish. On a case-by-case basis.
Okay, good.
And I abhor violence to police officers.
Follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President? I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
and
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am asked to look at.
Of course you won't. So will you advise the president?
Can I answer the question?
Well, my question
I would
is,
have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by Congress, Senator, for comments just like this that are so reckless.
It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the department.
Do you see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're frightened now? I can't believe this is even...
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe you're asking such a question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I know that you are pleased that we are moving to the end of round one, and we appreciate your being here.
This moment wasn't loud. There was no shouting, no viral outburst, but it may end up being one of the most important exchanges in the entire confirmation process, because what Adam Schiff was really testing here wasn't Pam Bondi's temperament or her debating skills. He was testing whether the Justice Department still has a spine. The exchange begins with a Supreme Court decision that quietly changed the rules of presidential power. In Trump v. United States, the court ruled that a president has absolute immunity for actions taken within certain core constitutional responsibilities. One of those responsibilities is overseeing the Department of Justice. That means, for the first time, a president could potentially use the Justice Department to target opponents and still claim immunity, as long as those actions fall under official duties. Justice Sotomayor warned that this kind of immunity doesn't just sit on the books, it lies around like a loaded weapon. Schiff took that warning seriously, so instead of asking vague or philosophical questions, he made it real. He pointed to something the president has already said publicly, that Special Counsel Jack Smith should go to jail. Schiff's question was careful and precise. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Jack Smith? This is important. Schiff was not asking Bondi to promise a prosecution. He wasn't asking her to prejudge a case. He was asking whether there is any evidence at all that would justify even opening an investigation. Bondi didn't say yes, but she also didn't say no. Instead, she repeatedly fell back on procedure. She said she hadn't seen a file, hadn't reviewed evidence, and wouldn't comment without doing so. That sounds reasonable at first, but Schiff wasn't asking her to act. He was asking her to acknowledge reality. Is there evidence right now, or is there not? That distinction matters because it draws a line between evidence-based justice and power-based justice. Schiff kept pressing that line, asking whether a president's personal desire or public statements would ever be enough to launch an investigation. Bondi said she would look at facts, but she still wouldn't say whether any facts actually exist. Then Schiff raised the stakes. The president has also publicly called for Liz Cheney to be jailed. Schiff asked the same question again. Are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney? Bondi called it hypothetical. Schiff immediately corrected her. It's not hypothetical if the president is saying it out loud. What Schiff was revealing, step by step, was not just avoidance, but a pattern. Every question that required a clear boundary between politics and law went unanswered. That pattern became impossible to ignore when Schiff turned to the 2020 election. He asked whether Bondi could tell the president a basic truth, that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. She refused. So Schiff simplified it even further. Was there massive fraud that affected the outcome of the election? Yes or no? Again, no direct answer. This wasn't about relitigating the election. It was about something deeper. Schiff's argument was simple. If a future attorney general cannot state a settled fact under oath in public, how can anyone expect her to challenge a president privately when it really matters? From there, the questions turned to consequences. Would Bondi advise the president against issuing blanket pardons for people who assaulted police officers on January 6th? She said she would review cases individually, but would not commit to opposing blanket pardons. Then came what should have been the easiest question of all. Would she commit to preserving all evidence from the January 6th investigation? Once again, she declined to give a direct assurance, saying only that she would follow the law. That's when Schiff's frustration boiled over. Why, he asked, is it so hard to promise that evidence will not be destroyed? And that question is the real takeaway from this exchange, because none of this was about Adam Schiff winning an argument or Pam Bondi losing one. It was about whether the guardrails that protect the Justice Department still exist, or whether they now depend entirely on personal loyalty and silence. If an attorney general cannot clearly say no at a confirmation hearing, the question becomes whether anyone will be able to say no once the power is real and the doors are closed. If this breakdown helped you understand why this moment matters beyond the headlines, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more clear, in-depth political analysis, and share this with someone who wants to understand what's actually at stake here.